Okay.
Hi, have you ever wondered why sometimes your spouse behave like a little boy or little girl? Or when your spouse behaves like a domineering parent asking you to do this and do that? Fear not, those questions will be answered in Chapter 7 of the Marriage Notebook. Hi, welcome back if you have been with us for the past 6 chapters. Today I'm going to talk about transactional analysis, in short TA. TA is quite a complicated topic, which is why I left it to the last chapter of the Marriage Notebook. Now TA was actually coined in the 1950s by Dr. Eric Berne as a form of psychotherapy, as a form of treatment for those with some mental issues. Actually, TA can be used to foster good communication, and that is the focus of my talk today. It is a very huge topic, and if you need more information, I will highly recommend that you check out this book, The Transactional Manager by Abby Wagner. So today I just want to touch on some basic concepts which can already help you to have great communication with your spouse. Now, in general, all of us, all human beings, have a few ego states in us. There are 3 basic ego states. They're known as ego states. It sounds like something about arrogance or pride, but it has nothing to do with it. In this case, an ego state is like a personality. So each of us will have 3 basic personalities inside us. Whether we were a little child, adult, or we are elderly or a senior citizen, we all have these 3 basic ego states. And here they are. P for the parent state, A, the adult state, C, and the child state. Now, the parent state, both the parent and the child states are actually rooted in the past. Why do I say that? When we are in the parent state, we tend to do things similar to what our parents have done before. So if your parent was your father or mother was always scolding you, you will scold somebody else in the same way. If your dad is a very reckless driver, you tend to become a reckless driver as well. So when you are in this ego state, you behave like your parent. Whereas in the child state, you behave as if you were a child during your childhood days. You love to have fun, you want to play a lot. So that is the childhood state. But if you have a very bad experience of childhood, when you are in this state, you tend to get depressed, you can get very sad, and you don't want to do anything. And the adult state is the current state. These 2 are trapped in the past, but the adult state, you are in the now, the current situation, meaning that you make logical choices. You are not emotional, you are very rational. So this is the state that we all aim to be in at all times for perfect communication. But that's not always possible, right? Now, suppose your wife has similarly these 3 basic states. Good communication means that you speak to each state in a complementary way. Okay? You need to make complementary transactions in this case. Now, so what is a transaction? A transaction consists of 3 things. First, the stimulus. Second, the response that you expect. And third, the actual response that you get. Now, if the response that you get do not correspond to the response that you expect, then that's negative communication. Let me give you a quick example. Now, suppose your husband is in his child state, and he is talking to the wife as a child and expecting a response as a parent. For example, he may say things like, "Darling, I'm feeling a bit hungry." Now, if the wife responds like a parent, you have a complementary communication. The wife may say, "Oh dear darling, I heard you're so hungry. Let me cook you a great meal." So it's like parent talking to child. Good communication. Both are happy. You get a response that you expect to get. Now suppose your wife, maybe she's not in a very good mood, she responds like an adult, in an adult state. Now you see, there's a cross communication. So the wife may say, darling, I know you're hungry, but you're a big boy already. You're a guy, for goodness sake. Go and get your own lunch. Okay, go downstairs, buy some things. These are things you can do yourself. And hence that results in a negative communication. Why? Because the husband is expecting a parent to respond. Instead, he gets an adult response, which is rational, which is correct. The wife is responding in a logical way, but it's not what he's expecting. So that results in poor communication. Okay, so this is just one simple example. Of course, the ideal case is always communicating at the adult state, adult to adult, parent to parent, parent to child, child to child, or parallel communications. So this will enable you to have good communications. And however, this does not happen, as I mentioned before. In fact, if we dwell in the next level, we go down deeper in transactional analysis, you realize that actually each of us have 6 ego states instead. Let me explain. These are just the basics. Now, we essentially all have 6 ego states. 3 are positive, 3 are negative. If our stimulus is from a positive ego state, we tend to attract another positive ego state. Similarly, if we start off with a negative ego state, we tend to attract a negative response. So here are the 3 positive ego states. Firstly, the nurturing parent, the adult, and the natural child. Now these are the 3 positive states. If you start off your communication with these 3 states, you tend to attract positive states from the other party. The 3 negative states are the critical parent, the parent who always criticizes you, or saying that you're stupid, you're lazy. That's the critical parent. There are no negative states in the adult state, but in the child state, there are 2 negative states. You have the compliant child, and you have the rebellious child. Okay, so in total, 6 states. Okay, a compliant child is one that tries to comply to you but unwillingly. For example, if the mom asks the compliant child to say, please clean up your room, the child wanting to be compliant does it grudgingly. Okay, he just anyhow cleans up his room, doesn't take it too seriously. That's a compliant child. Or it could be a rebellious child. You ask me to clean my room. Why? I'm busy playing, I don't have time, I need to do homework. So you rebel and you refuse to do what your parent asks you to do. So that's the rebellious child state. So good communication means that we try to engage our positive states as much as possible. So first we need to be aware where the stimulus is coming from. If the husband talks to the wife from the critical parent state, he starts off by saying, hey darling, you did not cook a good meal, it's too saltish, it can't be eaten. It's critical parent. So as a wife, if she responds in kind as a rebellious child, boy, okay, you think that my cooking is no good? Next time I'm not going to do it anymore. Okay, you do it yourself. Rebel. You rebel against criticisms. So this is bad communication. We want to avoid this. So when these things happen, what the wife should have done is to respond either as a nurturing parent or an adult. These are good responses to counter this negative ego state. So if you respond with a negative ego state, you're bound to have arguments and conflicts. So please be aware of that. Now, of course, sometimes you may detect that you yourself are in a negative state, and that is the time where you need to be aware and tell yourself, oops, I shouldn't communicate. When I'm in this ego state, I must switch to a positive ego state before I open my mouth and say something. If not, when you're in a negative state, you will definitely say something that hurts your partner, that results in bad communication. Okay, of course, the dynamics of transactional analysis is far more complicated as I've described just now, which is why I encourage you to strongly read this book. But what you can do now, even in a relationship, is to be aware of at least the 3 basic ego states. Be aware that they exist in yourself and in your spouse. And when you detect a certain negative state, try to engage his or her positive ego state instead. Well, I come to the end of chapter 7 on transactional analysis, and that is also the end of the Marriage Notebook mini-series on basic principles to building a strong marriage. I hope you enjoy the series. If after practicing all these concepts, you still realize that your marriage requires help, because maybe you have gone into some big major conflicts, or perhaps even one of your spouse is unfaithful, I strongly encourage you to seek external help from a family counselor or from a close friend, because there are times where you need help in your marriage, and because your marriage is such a precious gift, and you have said your vows to love each other to death do you part, so it is worth saving. I have seen couples going to counseling sessions and recovering and becoming even stronger couples. I personally have counseled many couples, and most of the time I'm happy to say that things turn out well, and they manage to get back together and build stronger relationships than ever. So never give up, seek help. All of us need help at one point or another, so do not give up. Take care and God bless your marriage. Bye bye.